Good evening, everyone. This week's parsha is Parshas Balak, Tavshin Pei Aleph. I'd like to dedicate tonight's Drasha in memory of my mother, Mrs. Shlomis Rabinowitz, Shlomis Bas Rav Yaakov Eliezer. So we're going to talk about something at the end of the parsha. A quick summary of the parsha is how the Moabite king Balak hired the Gentile prophet, sorcerer Bilam, to curse the Jewish people. Bilam, when he is first asked by Balak to go curse the Jewish people, and the times that he's asked again, always tells Balak, I cannot go unless God gives me permission. I can't do anything unless God allows me to do it. And Hashem first tells him not to go. Then Hashem tells him, if you want to go, but you're not going to be able to do more than what I let you do. And Bilam tries 3 times to curse the Jewish people, and Hashem doesn't allow him. Finally, after the third try, Balak tells him, go home, we're done. And Bilam prophesizes for the last time. And it's really a prophecy that he talks about, the future of the world, the future of everyone, what's going to happen to everyone in light of the future of the Jewish people. And in Paragraph Dalet, chapter 24, Pasuk Chav Aleph Chav Beis, verses 21 and 22, Bilam addresses a nation known as the Cani, who are actually the descendants of Yisro, the father-in-law of Moshe. Vayar es HaCani, he saw the Canites, Vayisa Meshaloi Vayoimar, and he took up his theme and he said, Eisan Moshevecha, your abode is secure, V'simbas Elakinecha, and your nest be set among cliffs. Ki im yelavoyer kayin admor ashur tishbeka. Yet shall Kayin be consumed when Ashur takes you captive. The Cani, again, descendants of Yisro, at a certain point of time are very secure. But eventually Ashur, Assyria, referring to the Assyrian king Sancheriv, would eventually take them captive like everybody else. But we're going to focus now on Rashi. Rashi on the words Eisan Moshevecha. That actually the pasuk, that's the first pasuk, which is really a positive focus on the Cani. It says he saw the Cani, and he said about them, Eisan Moshevecha, your abode is secure. So Rashi comments on the words Vayaras HaCani, V'yishahaya Cani Takue. Okay, we're going to skip that part. Nistako b'gdulashon shel bnei Yisrael. Bilam looked at the greatness of the descendants of Yisrael. Shenamar bohem tirasim shimasim suchasim, which means that the descendants of Yisro converted. Yisro did convert, and of his descendants became leaders of the Sanhedrin. Great Torah scholars and members of the Sanhedrin were descendants of Yisro. So Bilam looks at Yisro. Bilam looks at Yisro's future, his descendants, and he sees what became of them. Torah scholars of the Sanhedrin. And then on the words, Eisan Moshevecha, secure is your dwelling place. So Bilam means to say, Tamea ani, I'm in wonderment. How did you merit this? You were together with me in the plan of let us outsmart the Jewish people. This is referring to the fact in the beginning of Shmos, when Paro looks at the Jewish people spreading and exploding in population, and he wants to do something about it. So he says, come, let us outsmart them. So the Gemara says that Paro had three advisors, very famous personalities. One was Yisro, one was Bilam, the Gentile prophet, and the third was Job. And he turned to them and said, "No, what am I going to do about the Jewish people?" So Bilam responded, "Get rid of them." Eov remained silent. Yisro ran away. He abandoned the court of Parai and ran away. Which means that when Parai wanted to deal with the Jewish people, Bilam was about, I'm not sure, maybe I'm making it wrong, to destroy them or enslave them, but clearly Bilam, was the one who gave the advice for Paro to harm the Jewish people. Eo remained silent, and Yisro ran away. He ran away, wasn't having anything to do with it. And the Gemara says that Yisro was greatly rewarded for that. So Bilam looks at Yisro and he says, you and I were both together in this plan of Havaneshachbalai. Let's outsmart him. Again, referring to the fact that they were of the three advisors of Paro. That Paro addressed how he knew the Jewish people. The Ata Nisashafte be'esan u'moishal Yisrael. And now you dwell in the strength of the Jewish people. Your descendants are members of the Sanhedrin, of the greatest body of rabbis of the Jewish people. So that's what's going on here, according to Drasha, bringing down a Medrash, bringing down a Gemara. Now Bilam looks at Yisro's descendants and he says, we were both together in this at the same point. How did it happen that that out of you comes all these great people great people amongst the Jewish people? And basically, look at me. How did it happen? Now, based on if this Gemara is working with the Gemara in Saita, then what do you mean? What's his question about? How did it happen? What do you mean? How did it happen? You ran away. He ran away. You gave the bad advice. He ran away. There's a big difference between the two of you. So we were both at together when Paro said, "Let's make a plan." Fine, you were both together. You advised Paro to hurt the Jewish people, and Yisro couldn't bear it, so he ran away. What's bothering him exactly? How did it happen? There's a big difference between how they behaved and how they reacted towards the Jewish people. Then Yisro showed his pain, how he was pained about what happened to the Jewish people, so he ran away. And therefore, we could say that's why now his descendants sit amongst the Jewish people as members of the Sanhedrin. What's bothering Bilam? It's a very interesting explanation given by Rabbi Gabi Fried. And he explained, the way I understand this explanation, is that, and this is primarily what he said. I maybe just adding a few little details. That really, Bilam understood, of course, they both reacted differently then. But Bilam needs to say like this. There was a point of time that we were the same. We were advisors to Paro because of what kind of people we were. Wise, from the elite, from the prestigious, from those that were considered, again, can't think of the right word right now, besides wise, but from the high level, from high class people. But not just high class in the sense of money, but in the sense of, we were distinguished people. We were his advisors because we were distinguished individuals. That's why we were both there. So we were both there together in this. We were at a point of time that we were the same. And now look how far you got. But what's really bothering Bilam, said Rabbi Fried, was the fact that Bilam looked at who he was, how he started off, and how Yisro started off. We know that Yisro, before he converted, before he joined the Jewish people, or I shouldn't say that. Actually, it happened at an earlier point of time. But Yisro the Gemara tells us that Yisro tried every type of pagan idol worship that there was. He did it all. And after going through all that, he realized there's only one God. And that was something that actually, according to Midrashim, according to the Gemara, he lost favor in the eyes of the Midianites because of that. When the Torah says that the shepherds attacked his daughters who were shepherding his sheep, it had to do with the fact that he had become a believer in God and abandoned idol worship. But he had started, but where was Yisro starting from? Yisro started from being a crazy idol worshiper. Bilam was never an idol worshiper. Bilam was a prophet of God. Bilam always believed in God. He was never an idol worshiper. So Bilam was saying to himself, Yisrael, we were both at one point the same. We were both advisors in Paro because of our distinguished status. But look what happened to you. And how did it happen to you? You were an idol worshiper. You were an idol worshiper. And I was never an idol worshiper. So how does it happen that your descendants are able to come to the point of having your descendants are members of the Sanhedrin, and what do I have? And he just couldn't understand it. What's the answer? The answer lies in a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, and a Mishnah in the chapters of our fathers. This is in the 5th chapter, and it reads like this: Kol mi sheyesh biyadai shleish devarim halalu. Whoever possesses these 3 things, or actually these 3 traits, Vitalmidav shel Avraham Avinu, they are from the students of Avraham, of our forefather Abraham. Ushleish devarim acherim, and whoever possesses 3 other things, 3 other traits, Vitalmidav shel Bilam Drasha. That makes you a student, a disciple of the evil Bilam. Okay, so there are 3 traits that if you possess them, you become a disciple of Avraham, and a different 3 traits, or as we'll see, the opposite of those 3 traits, makes you a student of Bilam. Here we go. What are the 3 traits? Ayin tova, a good eye. A good eye means you're not jealous and you're happy with other people's successes. Ruach nemucha, a lowly spirit. It means you're humble. V'nefesh shvela, and a undemanding, and nefesh shvela means an undemanding soul. You're not greedy. You're not someone that's always looking for more and more. That makes you a student of Avram Avinu. You have 3 traits, you're a student of Avram Avinu. However, ayin ra, if you have an evil eye, that means you're always jealous and you're not happy with other people's success. V'ruach kavaya, a high spirit, that means you're arrogant, you're haughty. V'nefesh rechava, and a wide open soul, that means an appetite that's never satisfied. V'talmidav shel Bilam harasha, that makes you a student of the evil Bilam. The Mishnah is telling us what were the foundations of Bilam. Bilam's foundations were corrupt. Bilam was very wise. Bilam was even able to be a prophet. He was chosen to be a prophet by God. Nonetheless, what was his essence? What was his character? What was he made of? He was made of corrupt traits, bad character. He was jealous. He was haughty. He was arrogant. And he never could be satisfied with any of his, could never satisfy his physical desires. So here he was, wise, been a prophet. He had a lot of potential, but he had those corrupt traits and he didn't work on them. He didn't do anything about them. And therefore, yeah, he started off the same as Yisrael, but he was corrupt. His essence was corrupt. Yisrael, on the other hand, we understand that when Yisrael was going through all that idol worship, it was part of his search for the truth. Yisrael was a truth seeker. As a matter of fact, the fact that we find at the beginning of Parshas Yisrael, it says, Vayishma Yisrael, Yisrael heard everything that God did for the Jewish people and take them out of Egypt and all the miracles. And what did he do? He picked himself up and he joined the Jewish people. And the commentaries point out, the only one we find reacting to the splitting of the Red Sea is Yisrael. Why? What makes him different than anybody else? The answer is because he was a truth seeker. He wasn't jumping from idol worship to idol worship because of, what this one could permit him to do, and what that one could permit him to do. This one would tell him, you can do anything you want, and that's how you worship me. No, that's not what he was looking for. He was seeking the truth. And because he was seeking the truth, he got there. He was sincere. He was for real. So Bilam wonders, what happened to you? What happened to me? The answer is Yisro was truthful. Yisro was sincere. You, Bilam, you had a lot of potential. You could have gotten as far as Yisro, but you were corrupt. Your traits, your character was corrupt. Your foundations were a foundation that would never let you go to to become closer to God, to be able to become even like Yisro, to become like Yisro, who even after being such an idol worshiper was able to become who he became because he wasn't corrupt. He sought the truth. If you're corrupt in your character, you're not going to get to the truth because your corrupt character is going to blind you from the truth. It's going to corrupt your ability to see the truth, to pursue the truth. That's the difference, Bilam. The difference is that your essence was corrupt. You had a corrupt character. You had bad character. And that's what tore you down. And the Mishnah tells us that if you have positive traits, you have a trait that you're an ayin tov, you have a good eye. You're not jealous of what other people have. You're happy with other people's success. You're humble. You're satisfied with what you have. You're not always looking for more and more and more. Those are also building blocks. Those are building blocks to become like Avraham Avinu. That's where those kind of traits take you. Bilam's traits, Bilam's foundation was an evil eye, arrogance, and an appetite that never could be filled, never be satisfied. That is what made the difference between him and Yisro. Because if you have those kind of character traits, that's the kind of person you are, then you'll never get to the truth. Yisro, on the other hand, that's what he was. He was a truth seeker. The lesson here is a very important one. Your character will either make you or break you. If you have bad character, if that is what the kind of person you are, that's your makeup, that's your essence, that's what everything is built upon, your character, and that character is negative, is corrupt, then it's just gonna drag you down. If you have positive character traits, then the truth can be clear to you. And you won't have the obstacles to truth. You won't have those things that are pulling you away from the truth because they want you to fulfill those desires. That's the lesson. Your character will make you or break you. Have a wonderful Shabbos.